of it is all about understanding or being intelligent by the way you use your emotions, or being intelligent the way you actually use your emotions in any particular sphere of life, be it your career, be it your relationships, or be it your personal life for that matter, about your own goals and hobbies and passion. So emotional intelligence is all about knowing all of those parts, and we'll talk about some other aspects of emotional intelligence and what are the things that needs to be taken care of for that matter. So the first thing that I want to ask you is, do you know someone with great confidence but with zero empathy? I think you might have seen a lot of cases like that. And have you ever witnessed any someone like that in your school or college, or in your office as well? If someone has a good, very good intellectual skills, very good intellectual skills, but still having very low empathy. How is that person? Ideally, the kind of person we're talking about, the kind of person that we are uh, denoting here as a person with a very less empathy but a great confidence and intelligence, they are intellectuals, they are contributing something to society, but still at any particular point of time they suffer a lot with their relationships, they suffer a lot with the way they handle their own emotions for that matter, because the relationship you have with yourself actually becomes the stepping stone for how your relationship is with others as well. So it's important for us to be able to understand that part, to be able to find a middle ground, if not being the extreme of both situations, to be able to know where your confidence comes, where your understanding comes, where intelligence comes, and also knowing where those emotions are coming from. And this is what emotional intelligence is in very simplest forms: to be able to know what you're feeling, to be able to know what you're doing at any particular point of time, and to be able to understand whatever you're doing at whatever we're working upon in any sphere of life. So, like written here as well, that this denotes low emotional intelligence. That means a person who has very low empathy, he could actually be contributing a lot to the society. He could actually be building bridges and doing a lot of things in a particular manner. And I'll give a very small example that you might have heard of, something that you might have seen in a lot of TV series and a lot of episodes as well. That there's always a psychopath in various TV series who is a very intelligent person. With Sherlock, who even has hard time catching him. Moriarty, for that matter, he is a very intellectual person. He's an intelligent person, and yet when it comes to contributing something to the society, when it comes to adding something to society, to be able to become a good member of the society, he is not able to fit into that definition, even because even without, even with his intellectual skills. That means there's something lacking here. The thing that is lacking here is empathy, kindness, and emotional intelligence. And this is why we need emotional intelligence. And talking in the general aspect of it, emotional intelligence is not only about contributing to the society, it's also about contributing to yourself, being honest to yourself. Because trust me, I am emotional, you are emotional, and everyone in this world is emotional. That means if I ever say that I don't feel sad, or I don't feel anxious, I don't feel stressed at any particular point of time, I would be lying, because I do feel all of these things. Yes, the way I react to those emotions could be different from the way others react. The way I react to certain other things could be very different from the way others react. The reaction to those emotions changes, but not the emotions. That means the emotions I feel is the same emotion that you feel, but the reaction I am giving to it, or the reaction someone else is giving to it, is very different, are very different from each other. So we have to actually understand that emotions are natural for everyone else, but not the reaction. And we must work upon understanding our reaction. We must work upon understanding how we can control those reactions to be able to do things with much more passion and much more interest. Right. So this is another question as well. What are the different ways you react? And do you often feel that you should not have reacted in a particular way only after expressing your emotions? And I think that's a very common thing that we see in a lot of places, in a lot of things, and in our personal life as well. That when we feel angry, what is the normal thing that we do? Whenever we feel angry, the only uh, acceptable, yeah, acceptable is not the right word to say it, but the only acceptable way to actually express your anger is by shouting at someone, or to be judgmental of that particular person, or to be able to shout, or to be able to verbally abuse someone. But we know for a fact that it is not right. We know for a fact that it is hampering our relationship. And we know for a fact that it is not good for our own personal and mental space. But yet, whenever we feel angry, we do the same kind of things. We verbally abuse someone, we shout at someone, we would end up torturing ourselves as well. And that is not the right way to do that. But yet, why do we keep on doing the same thing over and over again? That is actually a very important example of how emotions can trick us into doing things we are accustomed of. And this is all about habits for that matter. Whenever we do things that feel habitual, that are habitual to us, we end up doing that without actually thinking about any rational aspect to it. For example, a very simple example for that matter. A lot of you here would be right-handed or left-handed, right? So if you're a right-handed person, when you wake up in the morning and when you go to the washroom, you pick up your brush and you pick up your brush from your right hand. You don't pick it from left hand, right? Because you're right-handed, you're used to picking the brush from the right hand. And when you pick the brush from the right hand, you automatically get attached to the factor that you have to pick it from the right hand because you're so much habituated to it. Now, I would want you to give one activity here. Tomorrow, when you wake up in the morning, try to pick the brush from your left hand and then try to see how hard that feels. Would it be hard for you to be able to actually pick the brush from your left hand? And not only picking, start brushing your teeth with the left hand. It will be a big task for you. And this is the same as trying to change your tasks, trying to change how you deal with certain things. Because whenever we feel angry, our automated response system is to shout at someone because we feel defensive, we feel scared, and we shout at someone. That's how we express our anger. And to be able to change how we react to that anger, we need to change certain way of our actions. And to be able to change our actions, we have to be first be alert. We have to first be aware of what is the harm that it is doing to us. Because expressing anger is in a negative manner is so much common in this world that we feel that it is a very natural way of living life. But yet we don't understand that it is actually harming us. It is actually harming our prospects of becoming a good person or just trying to do things in a positive manner. So it's important to understand that we have to control how we react to things. It's important to control how we react to certain emotion for that matter, how we react to our anxiety, how we react to our sadness, how we react to our happiness. Because when you talk about the whole idea of happiness or sadness or the positive emotion or a negative emotion, there are no such positive or negative emotions for that matter. Emotions are all emotions. Emotions are emotions for a particular reason. They are the way they are. The reaction to them are positive or negative. The reaction to them end up feeling positive or negative to us. And hence we must work upon the reaction part, not the emotion part, because emotions would be natural for me, for you, for everyone else. So we must work upon understanding those things. We must work upon how we express and how we understand those particular part so that we can deal with things in a much, much better manner. So that was the part about how you can definitely react. So these are the four different traits of emotional intelligence that I usually work upon with my clients, with my coaching clients. That I talk about a lot about self-awareness, self-management, relationship management, and social awareness. Now it has to go hand in hand, and it has to always start from self-awareness. So unless and until you understand what you are, who you are, where you come from, what are the things that are driving you, you wouldn't be able to know what path you want to choose. You wouldn't be able to know what is the thing that you love the most, what is the kind of person you actually enjoy spending time with, or what are the career prospects you might actually invest in. So the first thing to all of those questions would be being aware of yourself. And this is actually a very sad thing, to be honest. But a lot of us, a lot, in fact, including me, I too failed a lot of times miserably in my initial years. I mean, let's say 5 or 6 years back or 7 years back, I failed miserably on the act of understanding myself better. Because when I talk about the idea of understanding myself better, I always used to believe that whatever I'm thinking, whatever I'm believing, that has to be right, because that is the way we are taught things. We have always been taught things that whatever you're thinking, whatever you're believing in, they are right. Everything else is wrong. So when I think of a